All right, so tonight we're diving into something that might be keeping some of you up at night.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a big tax bill from the IRS. You know, the kind that makes you wish you'd kept better track of all those receipts.
Right.
But what if I told you there might be a way
Yeah.
to settle that debt for less than what you owe?
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're talking about a program
Okay.
that the IRS has called an offer in compromise,
Offering compromise.
or OIC for short.
Got it.
Now, before you start picturing yourself
Yeah.
on a beach somewhere, sipping a drink with all that money you saved,
Right.
let's be realistic.
Okay.
And OIC is a really powerful tool,
Yeah.
but it's not for everyone.
Not for everyone.
The IRS has a very specific set of criteria
Right.
that you need to meet.
Exactly.
We're going deep on this one with a video
Okay.
straight from the IRS YouTube channel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we're going right to the source.
Straight from the horse's mouth, as they say.
That's right. And one thing they emphasize right off the bat
Yeah.
is that an OIC is a last resort.
No.
You go to explore all the other options first,
Makes sense.
right? Things like setting up a payment plan, which, by the way, the IRS details on their website.
Oh, great.
It's irs.gov payment plan. So you can check that out too.
Okay.
But basically, a payment plan is like an agreement where you pay off your debt over time. So they're willing to work with you,
Right.
but only after they've determined
Okay.
that you absolutely cannot handle the full amount.
Right.
Which brings us to
Okay.
this pretty cool tool that the IRS offers. It's called the OIC pre-qualifier.
OIC pre-qualifier.
Okay, and it's free. It's
Yeah.
available online at irs.govl, Gary.go. Yeah, tool. And it gives you a preliminary assessment
Okay.
of whether you might qualify for an OIC or not.
Oh, interesting. So you can kind of get an idea.
Yeah, it's like a DIY first step.
That's cool. I like that.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
This tool doesn't just say yes or no. It actually takes your financial situation into account
Oh, wow.
and even estimates a potential offer amount
Okay.
based on what you put in.
So it crunches the numbers for you.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty empowering.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay, so I'm already feeling a little less stressed.
Yeah.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, the video also warns about being prepared
Okay.
before using the tool.
Right.
Because it requires a lot of very specific information
Okay.
about your finances.
Makes sense.
And let's be honest, gathering all that can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's break down what you'll need
Okay.
before you even open up that pre-qualifier tool.
Okay.
First off, they're going to ask you for your location,
Okay.
your city, state, and zip code.
Easy enough.
Then it gets into the nitty-gritty.
All right.
They want to know your household size.
Okay.
And, of course, the total amount of federal tax debt you owe. No surprises there.
Right.
But then comes the part that might require a little more digging.
All right.
Listing all your assets.
Listing all your assets. Okay.
And when they say all, they mean all.
Oh, so everything.
We're talking bank accounts, the value of your home vehicles,
Oh, wow.
retirement accounts, basically anything of value that you own.
Okay.
You've got to be transparent here. Remember, no sneaking that vintage comic book collection under the rug.
Oh, man. They're going to find out.
They will.
Okay.
So, full disclosure, on the assets front, what else do they need to see?
So next, they're going to want to see a detailed breakdown
Okay,
of your household income.
right?
And this includes wages from your job, any self-employment income you might have.
Rental income, side hustles, you name it. They want to see every dollar coming in.
Wow. Okay.
And finally, you'll need to itemize your household expenses,
Itemize.
housing costs, transportation, those federal, state, and local taxes that you're already paying.
Right, right.
And then there's this category called other specified expenses.
Other specified expenses. What does that include?
Yeah, this one can be a little tricky.
Okay.
It covers things like necessary costs,
Right.
certain medical expenses, educational expenses, even court-ordered payments.
Oh, wow. All right.
You'll want to check the IRS guidelines on their website
Okay.
to make sure you're categorizing everything correctly.
Got it.
But don't worry, we'll unpack all that a little bit later on.
Sound good.
It's a pretty extensive list.
Yeah.
But having all of this ready to go before you even use that pre-qualifier tool
Right.
will definitely save you some time and headaches.
Absolutely.
And remember, this tool is a fantastic starting point,
Yeah.
but it's not the final word.
Okay.
The IRS is going to make the ultimate decision based on a full application
Right.
and a thorough review of your finances.
Makes sense.
So it's not just about plugging numbers into a tool and hoping for the best.
Okay.
You really need to understand what the IRS is looking for
Yeah.
and present your situation honestly and clearly. And that's where things get even more interesting.
Oh, really?
But we'll save that for part 2.
Can't wait.
Okay, welcome back. We've been digging into this whole offer and compromise thing, and honestly, it's way less intimidating than I thought.
Yeah.
But I gotta admit, this pre-qualifier tool still has me a little bit puzzled.
Yeah.
Like, what if it says, I don't qualify?
Right.
Does that mean it's game over?
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
And that's something that the IRS video really emphasizes.
Oh.
It's just a starting point. Remember, it's looking at your situation based on the numbers you put in.
So there's more to it than just like cold hard data.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There are a ton of individual circumstances and factors that the IRS is going to consider when they review your actual application.
Got it.
Things that the pre-qualifier tool just can't capture.
Okay, so like what kind of things are we talking about?
Well, let's say you recently had a major medical emergency.
Okay.
That just like wiped out your savings. Or maybe you were laid off and you haven't been able to find a job yet.
Yeah.
You know, those types of life events, they can have a huge impact on your ability to pay.
Right.
But the pre-qualifier might not fully grasp like the severity of that situation.
So even if the numbers say no, it's still worth applying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might be surprised
Okay.
at how understanding the IRS can be when you present them with a compelling and honest picture of your circumstances.
Okay. So that's good to know. That's why it's so important to follow those application instructions carefully and provide all the necessary documentation.
Exactly.
And speaking of documentation,
Yeah.
this is where those third-party companies often come in,
Right.
promising to handle all the paperwork for you, for a fee, of course.
Of course.
But what I'm hearing is that's not really necessary.
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay, good.
The IRS has made the entire process really transparent and user-friendly.
Okay.
They don't want you to feel lost or intimidated. You can download all the forms you need right from the website.
Okay.
And they even provide step-by-step guides
Wow.
to help you fill them out correctly.
So it's more about being organized and detail-oriented
Yeah.
than having some sort of secret insider knowledge.
Exactly. It's about building a solid case that clearly demonstrates your financial situation and your inability to pay the full amount.
Okay.
And remember, honesty is paramount here.
Right.
The IRS has very sophisticated ways of verifying all the information that you provide.
Okay, so let's say I've gathered all my documentation,
Yeah.
filled out the application, really meticulously, sent it off to the IRS. What happens next?
So the IRS is going to carefully review everything you submitted,
Okay.
including your financial history assets, income expenses.
Right.
They're probably even going to look at things like your age, your health, your future earning potential.
Oh, wow.
To get a sense of your long-term financial outlook.
This is really like a holistic evaluation, not just like a snapshot in time.
Exactly. They want to make sure their decision is fair.
Oh.
And it takes into account all the relevant factors.
And if they determine that an OIC is warranted, they'll send me a formal offer.
Right. Outlining the terms and conditions.
And what if they don't?
Well, first, don't panic.
Okay.
You can always appeal their decision.
Well,
The IRS has an established appeals process, and it's definitely worth exploring if you believe that their initial assessment was like inaccurate or incomplete.
so there's always hope, even if the first decision isn't what I was hoping for.
Absolutely. The key is to stay informed, stay organized,
Right.
and don't be afraid to advocate for yourself throughout the entire process.
Got it.
Remember, the IRS is ultimately aiming to collect the taxes owed,
Right.
but they also want to ensure that the process is fair and equitable for taxpayers.
So it sounds like this whole OIC process
Yeah,
really comes down to one crucial thing: transparency.
you got it.
The more open and honest I am with the IRS, the better my chances of reaching a favorable resolution.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's recap what we've learned so far.
You're right.
An offer in compromise. It's a legitimate option for settling tax debt,
Right.
but it's a process that requires careful planning and preparation.
Yeah.
And while the pre-qualifier tool is a helpful starting point,
Yes.
it's important to remember that it's not the be-all and end-all.
Right.
The IRS is ultimately going to base its decision on your complete application
Correct.
and a thorough review of your financial situation,
Exactly.
which means you don't need to shell out thousands of dollars to a third-party company.
Nope.
You have the power to navigate this yourself.
That's right.
The IRS provides all the resources you need
Mm-hmm.
right there on their website.
Exactly.
So take a deep breath,
Yeah.
arm yourself with knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and take charge of your financial future.
You got this.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground on offers in compromise.
We have.
From the pre-qualifier tool
Yeah.
to the actual application process.
Mm-hmm.
But before we wrap up our deep dive,
Yeah.
I'm curious about something.
Okay.
What are some common pitfalls
Oh, yeah.
that people fall into
Yeah.
when they're trying to navigate this whole thing?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something the IRS actually addresses in their video.
Okay.
One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they can just throw together a haphazard application and hope for the best.
Right, just wing it?
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see how that wouldn't really work out.
It's not a great strategy.
No.
You got to remember, the IRS takes these offers very seriously.
Yeah.
They're not just looking for a sob story.
Right.
They want to see a well-documented
Yeah.
and thoroughly explained case
Mm-hmm.
for why you genuinely can't pay the full amount owed.
So it's not about trying to pull
Yeah.
a fast one on the IRS.
No, not at all.
It's really about being meticulous and transparent
Mm-hmm.
with my financial information.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that leads to another common mistake. Being disorganized.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that mountain of documentation we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
It's not enough to just gather it all up and toss it in a box.
Oh, man. I can just imagine the look on the IRS agent's face.
Right.
If they open that up.
Not a good look.
No.
You need to organize it logically,
Okay.
clearly label everything,
Yeah.
and make sure it aligns perfectly with your application.
Okay.
A disorganized application just screams, I
Yeah.
don't take this seriously,
Right.
and it's way more likely to get rejected.
So organization is key.
Absolutely.
What else should we watch out for?
Another big one is underestimating the importance of accuracy.
Accuracy. Okay.
Double check every single number,
Yeah.
every date, every detail.
Cool.
Even a small error can raise red flags and delay the process.
I bet the IRS is not very forgiving when it comes to mistakes.
Not really.
Wow.
And finally, don't forget to follow the instructions to the letter.
Okay.
The IRS provides very specific guidelines for a reason. If you deviate from those instructions even slightly,
Mm-hmm.
it could lead to your application being returned or rejected.
So basically, it's all about being organized, accurate,
Yeah,
and following the rules. No shortcuts.
exactly.
All right.
And remember, you don't have to go through this alone.
Okay, that's good.
The IRS offers a ton of resources on our website,
Okay.
including sample forms, FAQs,
Mhm.
even phone support if you have questions.
That is reassuring to know.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
what's the most important takeaway
That's a good question.
that you want listeners to remember
Yeah.
about offers in compromise?
The OIC program is a valuable tool
Yeah.
for people facing insurmountable tax debt,
Right.
but it's not a magic bullet.
Okay.
It really does require effort and honesty
Yeah.
and meticulous attention to detail.
Okay.
But by understanding the process, being prepared,
Right.
and presenting a clear and compelling case,
Yeah.
you can significantly increase your chances of success.
Well said. And remember, you can find all the information you need
Yeah.
at irs.gov OIC.
Great resource.
So if you're facing a tax bill that you just can't pay,
Mm-hmm.
don't despair.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power,
Absolutely.
and you have the power to navigate this challenge effectively.
You got this.
That's it for our deep dives into settling tax debt with the IRS.
Hope you enjoyed it.
We hope this information was helpful and maybe even a little bit empowering.
Yeah, for sure.